presentation.
All right.
Let me do the opening first. Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon in Indonesia and good evening for Dr. Ahsan in South Korea. Thank you for coming for all participants and for Dr. Ahsan also. Welcome to this special guest lecture. I'm Andika. I will be the moderator for today's session. And I'm very happy to see many familiar faces and names joining us this afternoon. This lecture is held by the Department of Architecture, Universitas Brawijaya, Indonesia. Today we are going to dive into a topic that's super relevant, I think, to what we face in our series in Architecture Practice Today, which is the topic of our webinar, Urban Settlements in the Era of Rapid Urban Growth and Climate Change. And why is this important? Because urban growth isn't slowing down anytime soon. Cities are getting bigger, denser, and sometimes messier. And if we add climate change into the mix, such as rising temperature, floods, or extreme weather, then we will get some serious challenges ahead. As future architect, understanding how urban settlement respond to those pressure is not only academic, but it's also going to be part of our everyday work. And to guide us through this topic, we are very honored to have distinguished guest speaker joining us all the way from South Korea. Please welcome Associate Professor Reazul Ahsan, PhD. Okay. Let's give applause.
Assalamualaikum. Thank you so very much. Assalamualaikum.
Yeah, Waalaikumsalam. Okay, let me introduce Dr. Ahsan. Dr. Ahsan is an associate professor at the Department of City and Metropolitan Planning, University of Utah Asia Campus in South Korea. He specializes in urban planning, smart urbanism, and climate adaptive city design. He was research fellows at Kyoto University, Torrance University, and many others. He also received Best Research and Creative Award in 2023 from University of Utah and has been recognized internationally for his impactful research. And today he will be sharing valuable insight with us through his lecture, which will enrich our understanding of the dynamic relationship between urbanization and environmental resilience. Our participants today are from two courses in Department of Architecture. One is from Tropical Architecture course and the other is from Critics in Architecture. For students in both class, it is mandatory for you to attend this lecture, of course. But more importantly, I think it's going to be very insightful for you to learn about this topic. So I hope all of you are ready to learn, ready to ask questions and get inspired from this presentation. Okay, at the end of the presentation, there will be Q&A session. So for the students, feel free to note down your questions during the lecture. And also small reminder for students, after the presentation, after this Zoom meeting, you will need to submit attendance proof via Google Classroom. Please don't forget to take a screenshot of the lecture session showing your face as a proof of attendance and then upload it in Google Classroom, okay? I think that's short introduction from me for Dr. Ahsan. All right, without further delay, let's give the floor to Associate Professor Reazul Ahsan. Okay, Dr. Ahsan, please, you can start the lecture.
Oh, thank you so very much. Because that's like so much good, all the good words about me. I don't know I'm that good, but I'm very strict professor. That I can tell you guys. I'm very serious kind of professor. And this is me, and I'm just joking. So this, and if you can scan this one, you can get all my portfolio and everything here. However, I am not an architect. I'm an urban planner. So we will think from that angle. However, as I said, I'm kind of serious kind of professor. So before starting this one, guys, can you do this one? all the students, can you go on the menti.com and use this code number? Because we'll have some Q&A while we're doing the lecture as well.
Ah,
All
okay.
right.
Okay.
You
Menti.
can do menti.com, and so you'll be with me on the same screen. You'll be with me on the same screen. Yeah.
Okay, that's the code in the chat room.
Yeah.
Student can copy it and input it in your laptop.
Yeah, you can put it in the menti.com and then just put the code.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
All right, so let me see who you are there.
Okay, I have joined.
Okay, you joined there?
I think so.
Okay, I can see, soon I can see everyone.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So what exactly human settlement? Because we're talking about the human settlement. Let's see who can tell me. The answer is like, yeah, I know, I heard that before, but oh, sure, I know what is human settlement is, and I know, but can't remember now. Guys, feel free. Nobody can see you. Oh, yeah, I like this guy. I'm thinking what is human settlement is. I know, but can't remember now. I'm not going to tell you that. So how could we? Yeah, we need to do a bit hurry. Then I'll have more questions. Okay, sure. I know that's now the second ranking. All right. I don't know how do you say quick in Indonesian, but I know in Korean they call it pali. Pali.
In Indonesia, it's cepat.
Cepat. Okay. Yeah, cepat, guys. It's a pali. And okay, sure, I know. Okay, I'll give you another 30 seconds. The students pop up. So I know, but I can tell you, I'm not going to tell you that. So I can think it. Yeah, first ranking is I'm thinking. That's really an honest answer. I'm thinking what is human settlement is. Second rank is I know, I heard that before. And third ranking is sure, I know. Okay, if you really know. All right, I know I heard that before. So can you imagine what could be the first question? Let's have a question. If you know the answer, could you share one of the key factors of establishing a human settlement? 15 seconds time. If you know that, yes, you know that human settlement is fertile land, safety, transportation network, water. What influence? Okay. So, no, not everybody is answering. That's not a good idea, guys. Only 2 people saying transportation, 2 is saying fertile, 1 is saying water. All right, let's see. So we keep this answer in mind. Let's see about our class lecture, what we can think about human settlement then. All right, let's go on. So what is human settlement? This human settlement is a very simple answer, like where human lives, right? Very simple thinking, where human live. And it includes the aspects of support the community, like social connection. We have our neighbors, we have our relatives, those things. But origin of human settlement started long ago, 14,000 years ago. Quite a long time. And it has started in our region, in Asiatic region. That's the surprising thing. You'll know that Asiatic region is the first area of the human settlement. Start in modern days Israel and Jordan. That's the initiate. And then about 10,000 years ago, the first farmers. So human settlement, that people live in different places. They are gathered and hunter, like our grandpas, great-grandpas. They live where they find the food. But later, the human settlement become more key point as safety and security, to protect from natural disaster, to protect them from enemies, protect themselves from adverse weather, and to safeguard. So that's how modern architecture is influenced by. So the modern is safety and security. All our modern architecture and design, we talk about this one. So initially, the human settlement really started with this idea. So the modern architecture, we also talk about these things. And there are the factors that human settlement influence. Remember, only 1% says is water, 2% says for land, another 2% says transportation. In fact, you all are correct. The flat land, people always look where they have the flat land and fertile land so they can grow. And they always look for water. Water is a means of communication, transportation, and also supply for agriculture. So water and fertile land was the main initial factor that let the people live. That's why all the human settlement along the Arab Sea and Red Sea, the starting point. And the Arab Sea and Red Sea eventually spread over the time. So there are a few other things going on. So just get a very brief idea. I'm getting the history, then I'll go on the modern. I'll tell you something about the Islamic human settlement. We don't know that Islam has a very strong, I'm sure you guys know this one, but in city planning, our religion has a very important impact. And that's something I'm going to tell you that. And later we'll go on the climate change and everything. So in the Stone Age, the very early 14,000 years ago, from hunter-gatherers, humans come and settle somewhere where they can get the food, hunter, and they gather the food. In the Bronze Age, the Neolithic agriculture, the people for the first time understand that you can grow food. So in the Stone Age, where they find the food, human settlement are there. Bronze Age, where they find the fertile land they can grow. And the Iron Age, the Industrial Revolution, where they can do the business, economy. So human settlement change over different factors. And that's what I'm going to tell you at the later stage is how we can connect our architectural thought and planning thought together with the human needs and settlement pattern. Okay, so this is something like very basic. This is Arab Peninsula, the Red Sea. These are the areas where the Gaza and Israel, Palestine, these are the locations here. So these are the Red Sea, the human settlement started. These are the areas. In 1000 BC, before 10,000 BC, before Jesus Christ born, the agriculture thing in Middle East. So these are the fertile land. They find this is the place we can produce our food. Then 9000 BC, the cultivation, the wild one. And they start making oven. When we find the oven that we can cook food, that means I don't need to go to hunt it. I can have food storage, I can cook it. So still people start living there. Eventually, they find in 5400 BC, they start building the canal. So the canal is the channel that bring the water inside the city. Irrigation, that's water become important. So keep reminding, fertile land, then water, protection, this come step by step in human settlement. Okay, so that's like the human settlement things. And then this ancient area, they also have a very modern civilization. In ancient area, we also think a modern civilization. So those who are feel a little bit sleepy, anyone feeling sleepy? Okay, let's watch a movie. How about that? Nur Azalia, you like to watch a movie?
Yes.
Yeah, because when you feel sleepy, it's good to have a movie. Let's watch this movie. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, there you go.
Does it supposed to have sound, Dr. Hasan?
Yeah, I think it has a very nice sound.
Ah,
Can you on the sound from your side?
I cannot.
Oh, I can hear the sound from here though. Anyway, if you don't have the sound, but then you can watch the video.
Yeah.
Okay. And also this video is in the main PowerPoint slide. You can watch it later with the sound. But let's see. This is Babylon. Remember 5400 BC, people learned how to bring the water inside the city. And that time the Babylonian king, the second Nebuchadnezzar, there is a romantic story behind it. I'm not going to tell about that much about. He wants to make his queen happy, and then he introduced the hanging garden. That was the history of the Babylon, the most modern city in ancient time. Let's watch the movie and then we'll enjoy it. So Babylon was really a wonder of human settlement pattern. They bring the water and then make the city. Now, who can tell me that Babylon has some very similarities of the very modern day cities of today? What is the similarities between Babylon and very modern days? Can anyone tell me that one? That is green city, green infrastructure. We were all designed vertical garden cities. Babylon was introduced in that one, the green infrastructure concept. But then the Babylon after Babylon will become more advanced and become more organized and planned. And that's why in 400 BC, or like almost 1,000 years, 5,000 years later, the Hippodamus of Milutos, one of the Greek architect, but many of you heard this one, Hippodamus name, he first introduced the gridiron pattern to distribute the city land use, the human settlement pattern. An interesting fact, that was not only for direction, but that was also designed for making the summer cooler and winter warmer. So that was a very climate-oriented city. So Hippodamus Milutus, the formal city planning was introduced, and Hippodamus was a Greek one, and he born in a city called Milutus. So they had the name like Hippodamus from Milutus. He designed this one. So that was the Greek gridiron pattern. Now, can you imagine any city that in Indonesia, I've never been there, is a gridiron city? The city where I'm originally from, Adelaide in South Australia, is a complete gridiron city. So still the modern days, the human settlement of the cities, we use the gridiron pattern. Still in modern days, we use this same concept. So the human settlement are changing like this way. Later in Renaissance, in 19th century, when the Industrial Revolution is booming up, the Renaissance, the Cultural Revolution booming up, the people are start migrating, the migration, urbanization, people start business from all over the world. The Dutchess, the British, they are moving all over the Spanish, the French, they're coming up. At that time, they changed the city a lot. And at that time, the European cities are also being highly influenced by the modern designers, modern artists. Like one of the city is this is the one of the city, the Amsterdam and Milan. Look at their cultures like human palm. See the 5 finger. This is the palm. Palm is the city center. And from the city center and this is the river. There's the Po. And we still use this one in architecture, right? Human scale. So that's the initiative of architecture planning, city human scale. The palm, this is the city center, the port, and all the major roads going directly. So this is that one, the city center. All the ships come to the port for the business, and they take the product from different places. And still the modern days, we have the cities. We have the Milan. We have Paris like this way. Ghent is like that city. Manchester is like this shape city. So the human scale influence in the city planning. This is like Amsterdam. This is the major river. This is the point of the thumb and all these fingers. So this is how human settlement changing. But every time now from Renaissance, the economy is Babylon is more of culture. Then it's come organized planning, the hierarchy like grid iron pattern, then become human scale settlement. So keep note that how things are changing over the time. And economy keeping the first priority in Renaissance. After this one, the great towns, the Industrial Revolution. After the Renaissance in early 19th century, the Industrial Revolution made everything change. When we start the steam engine, James Watt invented the steam engine, and then distance becomes so small. Train can go one place to another. Heavy industries are start coming up, and then they make like industrial town. What does that mean really? And that is the time when urbanization or heavy scale migration started. People coming from everywhere to the place where there is work. So in London and New York, all the heavy industries are coming. Rail lines are coming. All the industries and people coming with the rail line from every corner of the world and try to start working. And then cities become more congested. Why? The labor force, they try to live next to the industry. Just like us we are doing. We all try to live next to the workplace. So you don't need to commute along, right? You don't need to ride or you need to pay a lot of fare for going to work. And that was the congested, all the labor force live very next to the industries and rail lines, like Jakarta. How much people live in Jakarta? I don't know, I heard this one, you can tell me that if you go in Jakarta and if you stand on a 10th Street building, from the roof, if you look down, you'll see everything black because it's only people's hair. So many people walking on the street that you cannot see the street, everything is black. That's what people told me, but I never been there. So that sort of things happening, like people are migrating. In the modern days, why we moved to Jakarta? We moved to Jakarta for better job, right? Better education, better health, opportunities. All the young fellows, you finish your graduate, you immediately move to Jakarta because there are jobs, there are industries, there are architectural firms, there are places you can work on. Same thing happened in Industrial Revolution. People from all over the world start migrating. From all over the world, from China, Japan, European, everybody start moving to United States, New York and other cities, and they become more congested. But this congestion gives the birth of a new idea, new human settlement pattern, and that is the garden city. I'm sure all of us know about the garden city concept. All of us, and we use it very frequently. Because Sir Ebenezer Howard, the interesting story, I don't know you know this story, like Sir Ebenezer Howard, who developed this idea, he was a clerk. He was not an architect. He was not an urban planner. He was a clerk working in an industry, and he saw that the people coming to the cities like the ants. In the morning, everybody comes to the work, and in the evening, everybody goes back. He said, this is not a life. Human should be human life. So he introduced this three magnet concept. If we can create a city that can have garden and city life, will attract more people. And that becomes so popular, that's later become the idea of garden city. And even the modern city planning, I'm sure in your class project, you did some of the garden city design. The concept is coming, giving the idea, living with the nature. And so that was the first getting very popular, just to minimize the overcrowded urban cities. But still, we cannot minimize the overcrowding because of the internal and international migration. People are coming from all over the world. And then where the opportunities are, where the works are. So that's something is happening here. So this is like one thing I'm saying, like the garden cities having that concept. As now, I'm going to tell you completely in a different angle. So just a quick revision, and then I'll give you 30 seconds break to get a breathe. This is like the city moves from hunter-gatherer to food production to the water canal to industry business. In the Renaissance became industrialization and migration, more congested cities. So every year cities are changing with a different phase. All right. Now 30 seconds. Deep breath, release. It will give your brain a refresh. Yeah. Because I usually teach a big class, so I know you need 30 seconds breathe. Long breath, give up. Okay. Now, I don't know, in Ajika, you can tell me, like in your class, did you pass the Islamic architecture, Islamic city planning? Did you guys try Islamic architecture and the Islamic city planning? If not, that's
maybe some students try to do Islamic architecture, but not the city planning because we're working in
okay.
architecture. Yeah.
So let's know a little bit of the Islamic city planning. That is really, and that was in 7th century. 7th century means 10,000 years ago, and 5th century, on the other part of the world, they start thinking about iron and bronze world, they start thinking about the business. But in 7th century, after 2,000 years, the Islam city become really influenced all over the world, the city planning. And the major component of that, like the architecture and urban traditionalism, Islamic urban design represents the sophisticated approach of city planning. And that's really impressed me a lot. That's why I want to share this idea that how, and I'll say some very modern technique they use it and which we use in the modern days. The approach to city planning, cities evolve organically. Organically means city grows rapidly where there is water, there is a mosque. So they start thinking the cities like, this is the major component, the natural growth. City growth naturally, like no planned way, but naturally. And these are the road network. And the city center was always the central mosque. So that's show the city direction. If you go this way, so mosque become used as a direction of the city. And they always use a walled Medina. Walled Medina is a bigger wall that protect the city. A bigger wall that protect the city. And they also have a dead and ice, which is known as in the urban planning called cul-de-sac. Cul-de-sac is like making the land use more perfect so that all the neighbors can face each other. You know, in Islam, neighbor is a very important part. So they invented this cul-de-sac approach in planning or city designing. Do you know what is cul-de-sac? Do I have the whiteboard approach? I can show you quickly. Cul-de-sac is a design like this. Let me show the pen. Oh, what is the pen? Okay, here. So cul-de-sac is a road, goes like this way, and then so here is house, here is house, here is house, here is house. So all the houses are facing each other. And that's how the neighboring importance and ensures safety and security. And this is in the modern urban design. In Europe, they use a lot of this one, even in Australia. And the central mosque is the key component part of this city planning. That's a key component part, and then that is the education, that's the institution, there's a social gathering, and that is the urban landmark. The city mosque become the key focal point of this area. But this is not all, that's the interesting part is coming up. There are major things like a local market, souk. If you go in the Saudi Arabia, you're always at the souk, the local market, and then the specialized souk. If you go in Dubai, there is a gold souk, only the gold market. And then the souk for all the spices, because that was the major business. So they separate the business from the institute. Mosque is the institute, which is not connected to the business, and business becoming the souk area. So they first introduced separating the zoning. In the educational zoning, the mosque, economic zoning, the souk area. So that's the Islamic architecture or Islamic planning introduced the modern concept. And this is the traditional district road. Look at this, most of the Islamic cities, our roads are like this way, zigzag, not like gridiron pattern, not like, can anybody tell me why? Guess, 10 seconds. Why Islamic cities is still, if you go to Saudi Arabia, Medina, Abu Dhabi, any Islamic cities, they have the zigzag road. Why they don't use gridiron pattern when this is very modern? Ever think of it? Guys, did you ever heard about natural cooling? In
Yeah.
architecture, we use it natural cooling. Did you ever experience this when you were standing in two tall buildings in the narrow space? It's more windy compared to the outside. Did you ever feel it?
Yeah.
That's the concept. This narrow aisle are all the buildings when the air goes inside. This is called high condensation. Lots of air, when they pass through this narrow aisle, is called condensed. Because air need to be condensed, is squeezed and passed through this one. So condensed air is always cooler. So the air become cooler inside. Naturally, they have the cooling air inside the city. Outside city is very hot. But inside that hot air, when they pass inside the city, it become narrow aisle, it become condensed and use it. In the modern days, perhaps you studied Masdar city, one of the most modern smart city in Abu Dhabi. They use the exactly same technology. With all the tall buildings, they put the narrow aisle inside, so the hot air come in and they don't need to use any air conditioning. The condensed air become natural air conditioning. So these are the something, even the old Iran, they use this same concept. So this is a good concept, guys. You can use it in architecture design. This using the natural air as a cooling, condensed air for cooling. So that's something interesting. And then they also talk about climate responsive design. And that's why I bring this idea, the Islamic cities, which we are talking, the modern days climate resilient city, they talk about the climate responsive design. Islamic cities integrated sophisticated environmental solution like the condensed air. And the building's material, they use the local materials that can absorb the local heat. Usually we make our buildings with the bricks and other things from other side. But think about the Indonesia. Your local material is not brick, is mud, and then the leaves. That's the Indonesian traditional construction material. We don't do this on modern days. So Islamic architecture is the modern construction material. Passive cooling, as I said, condensed wind, and sustainable urban planning. So they use the resources very specifically next to the water and distribute equally. So that was their major concept. Isn't it interesting, guys? So if it is interesting, let's go back to our mentee. Who can remember what I'm saying so far? See, I told you I'm not a good professor. People doesn't like me. I ask a lot of questions. Okay, let's go back to the mentee. Mentee, you already have it, right? You already guys have it there.
Yes. Okay, students,
Okay.
please join the mentee.
Okay, that's the second. This is the last question. Fertile land. Go for the next question, guys. In Islamic history, the identity of a city was shaped by, what is the identity of a city? I mean, this is not right or wrong answer. Which one you think the identity? They have wall, they have mosque, they have cul-de-sac. Which one you think? Okay, another 10 seconds. Which one you think? Like, that's your opinion. I'm just asking your opinion. Which one you think that? Okay, all right, I can close. Yeah, most of your things, central mosque. Second level is water accessibility. Then third is cul-de-sac and World Medina. A central mosque was the identity most of the Islamic city. That's true, very much true. But then cul-de-sac and then also another idea like being the neighbor, facing to the neighbor. That was one of the very good idea of this one. But central mosque is like mostly we think about this one. All right, what is the next question? I can have it. Okay, we're not saying this one, we'll talk it later. Okay, let's go back to the question again, class lecture again. This quiz is not for any grading. I'm just keeping it so that you feel like not to sleep. I know this is after lunch, is a sleeping time, many people. And now, so Islamic history goes on. Let's come to the modern cities, all right? Let's come how the modern concept. Now I'll have some crucial questions. Like you can look at it. The modern cities, the urban public health plays a critical role. So what is public health? Remember, in 19th century, when the industrial revolution happened, most of the people working in the industries, they live in very congested areas, just like the slum in Jakarta or slum in Mumbai. So people live there's highly warm air pollution. The drainage is blocked of black water, and there is no open public space where people can go and breathe. So at the end of 19th centuries, it has become people getting so often sick. And the plague is spread all over the US. Plague doesn't have anymore, but plague is one kind of disease spread by the rat. It's not COVID, it's a plague. It's spread by the rat. And people live so close by each other in a nasty environment, congested environment, polluted environment. The rat take the virus and move everybody's house. And this virus is spread out. And that is spread plague in 1850s. Then people are arguing, like air pollution control, sewage, there is drainage water everywhere. Still in our modern day cities, if you go in Mumbai and Delhi, you'll see all the drainage water on the street when there is heavy rain. The drainage water come on because there's not well managed. This become a very public health issues. People get different diseases. So the social movement started that we need a better place, a breathing space, a place where you can breathe and healthy air. And that was the first movement. In 1876, they start social movement for better cities. So what is the better cities movement? Initiated by public health. And then they're introducing the New York Central Park. The first time they introduced a public space, public park, where people can go and breathe fresh air, not like congested city. The first park is established in England, the community park. And at the same time, England and US was like a rival. Who can do the best? So US said, if they do it, we can make another best one. So that's why they make the Central Park right in the middle of Manhattan. Anybody here ever visited the Central Park? No one? Oh, I'm sure you have. You have seen in the English movies, Hollywood movies, many movies shot in this area. So Central Park, in 1858, they make almost 5 million cubic years, 5 million cubic years of land right in the middle. So you can see all the sides of the buildings, official buildings. Right in the heart of the city center, they make a Central Park, and which is very popular, and that's the place, because New York was a complete industrial city. Central Park become a breathing space for everyone. It's a nature, is water, trees, shade, and that's how the first time we start thinking that we can bring the parks inside the city. Before, our idea is parks and green space separate and city is separate. But this is the time for the modern city design. We bring the park inside. That we need a public, better living environment, public health, become an influencing factor. But then at the same time, there's another big challenge, urban sprawl. I don't know if you have it in Indonesia, but this is very common in US and in Australia. People live far from the city center. And this culture started when the car invented in 19th century, early in 1991, 1992, 1901, 1902. This time of the year, the Ford company invented the car. And people get so excited. Oh my God, now I can drive anywhere. So why should I live next to the city center, which is polluted? I can go far from the city center and live a better open space. And then they start living far from the city, and that's making the urban sprawl. Like city is on site, city center industry, but then urban living area is far from the city. And that caused a big challenge. Challenge in what sense? Every time you have to travel long, air pollution. Government give all the services far from the city center, and is become very popular in the US and Australia, big cities. But that caused a big challenge. And it's still modern days. I'm sure I've seen in Korea, I've seen in other countries, people make the residential area which is a bit far from the city, and the developers sell it higher price. Oh, you can live far from the city with the gardens, but then every day you have to take a train or you have to take a bus, you have to drive a car and come to the city. That costs more pollution, more environmental challenges. So this has become urban sprawl, become a big challenge for mega cities or large countries. But in the city potential planning principle, start thinking like we need to make a city that healthy. Because the city planning principle is a city should be healthy. Yeah, they said urban sprawl is healthy. You live in nature, fine. Convenience. Is it convenient? Because for everything you have to drive long way to the city. For everywhere you have to go for shopping, for school, for everything. Because in the urban sprawl there is no school. You have to drive your kids to the school far away. You have to come to the university, drive. In Korea, in Indonesia, you have motorbike. I've seen in Bali, everybody has a motorbike. There are more motorbike than people in Bali. So everywhere you go by a motorbike. But then that's not convenient. And then another one is beauty. When there is city getting separated, it loses city beauty. So these are the major three principles of city planning. And that way urban sprawl become a negative side. So from that perspective, people start thinking, why can't we make our city compact? Mixed use, like making city not far from the city center, but compact. So people can live the same place and have all the facilities within the area. Can have the same facilities within the area. Like if you ask me where I live in Adelaide, if I need to buy a bottle of water from in Adelaide, I have to drive my car because from my house there is no shops to buy even a bottle of water. I have to drive my car. Then a bottle of water is $1. Drive car, go and get back and buy. The bottle of water costs me $5, including environmental pollution. So that's why they start thinking, can we make compact city? And when we talk about the compact city, minimizing the transport demand, for controlling the air pollution, the new idea came, new urbanism. See that? Can you track the follow of like how the things are changing? The giving the urban sprawl, public health living, then it's become more like urban sprawl living, which has become more cost. It's not cost effective. Now we are becoming compact living, which give the idea of new urbanism. What is the idea of new urbanism? That all the facilities should be within walking or bicycling distance. And I'm sure in modern days, you are practicing a lot of new urbanism concept, designing the cities or the residents near to them. So new urbanism in towns based on scaling development of human, so that everybody can walk and cycle. Human scale, again coming. Remember the human scale when this come? In Renaissance. From that Renaissance, in the modern world, we become very modern, but we come back to the same human scale. So history and planning and architecture always repeated. So it's come back again that, hey, let's go on the human scale. So in other words, it is like placemaking or traditional neighborhood development, same like Islamic one, facing each other and be close to each other. So then the new urbanism has like major concept like walkability. The city should be walkable. Or the residential area design, it needs to be walkable that you can walk in. And it should be connectivity, that every area of the city can be connected. At the same time, the other part of the city is also connected through public transport. You can get out from your home, take a bicycle, go to the nearest bus stop, take the bus, and you can go other part of the city. So connectivity. And then mixed use and diversity. Mixed use means the land need to be mixed use. Upper floor is the residential area, bottom floor is the shopping mall. So you don't need to go far away. Or the next one is a school. So your kids can go to school by walking. Next one is the hospital. So you can be in the hospital in 2 minutes. So it's a mixed use development. So new urbanism concept, making people close in a compact environment. That could save urban land, that could make urban transportation costs, that could make a better living and healthy way. And then they start talking about the smart transportation, sustainability, ensure quality of life. So those things are the main principle of new urbanism. And still today we practice new urbanism a lot in many parts of the world, even here. All right? Is it too much talk? Okay, another 30 seconds. Big breath and out. When it's too much talk, that's the only way to concentrate. So you can give air in your brain, oxygen in your brain. All right? Okay. Long breath, and let's refresh our memory a little way to go back the Menti. Guys, can you go back to the Menti? Okay. That is our Menti. Let's go back to the Menti. All right. So we have this question so far. What is the next question? Next question is about new urbanism. Only 28 people join. I have 50 people option and 16 people answered. Not good, not good. Okay, let's answer this question then. So let's look at it. Contemporary modern cities receive significant encouragement for what? What is led us to think about modern city? Really? One said accessibility. Modern city, modern city.
Students, please join the Menti and give your opinion.
Yeah, go on the Menti, only 3 people answer it. Economy, go on. Take 10 more seconds. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Done. Only 2 people says public health. But that was the modern city concept, public health. Accessibility was the new urbanism. You guys are sleeping. Wake up. Public health is the modern city. New urbanism is also modern, but new urbanism was an accessibility. That is new urbanism, not modern. Okay, public health was the main factor. Remember the pollution they need. That's why the Central Park, New York Central Park, London Central Park coming up and give the people that you can bring park in the city. Okay, let's go back to our class again. I'm sure now you will all listen. And then in 21st centuries, we are being challenged by the climate change. Because we start doing industrialization, we start doing, what is that called? Urban sprawl. So pollution become a part, and then in climate change become a modern challenges. There is so many topics to discuss, and I have only 1 hour and 30 minutes, and I don't want to make you bored in the class, so I'm trying to make it as simple as squeezed. So climate change and modern cities, in 21st century, that's become our major fact. I'm not going to tell you what is climate change is, how the climate happening, that's not, you all know it. But then I will share this idea, the sponge city. Anybody ever heard this one, sponge city? Yeah, can I see some hand? Raise your hand that I can see. Yeah, I know about sponge city. No one? Anyone knows sponge city? Only me and Adhika knows about sponge city? That's not good. We are not going to sit for the exam because we finish all our life exam. So sponge city, okay. Before going to the concept of sponge city, who clean their dishes in home? Like your mom said, clean your dishes, and you clean the dishes. You all have experience of cleaning your dishes, or always give it for mom. If you give it for mom, that's a bad idea. How the sponge work, guys? When you clean the dishes, we put the soap and the sponge, water. We clean it, and when you squeeze the sponge, all the water come out, right? And the sponge become dry. And when you put the water, is again getting soak the water. The sponge city concept is like that. And this has become one of the major things, as Adhika saying in the beginning, the climate change causing lots of natural disaster like heavy flood, heavy rain. One of the biggest challenges for Indonesia, heavy flood, heavy rain. Jakarta flood is a very common one. Rain. So they think like, how can we manage our cities' water not to get flooded? And the idea came from a Chinese architect. He was a professor in Oxford, and then later become back to China. I forgot his name. I met him once, but I really don't know. So he can get the concept of a sponge city, like a city that can be a sponge, soak the water and hold the water inside. And when the water need, you squeeze it and bring the water during the dry season. And when the wet season, heavy rain or flood, soak the water. The reason behind it invented, because in our modern days, most of our cities are made of impermeables. Impermeable means the concrete surface. And the modern days, urbanization is a big challenge. People from all over the world is coming major cities. All over from Indonesia, people coming to Jakarta. So there's no green space. Everywhere is house and pavement. And that's why flooding happening. Because if there is a green space in land, when there's a heavy rain, almost 40 heavy rain and there is no human settlement, 50% water goes underwater, under the ground, 10% on the top of the ground. But if everywhere is people, like heart of Jakarta, everywhere is houses, right? Everywhere and half of the city center you go. So only 15% water goes underground, 55% water on the surface, 30% water goes on the evaporating. That 55% caused the flood. When heavy rain and the sea level rise, all the water came on the city, the water has nowhere to go, so it stuck on the street and caused the flood. And then in the dry season, there's no rain and there's no water sources. So these are the modern city problem. So we come up with the idea, the architects, that why don't we make our city as a sponge? What that will do, we'll design the parks in such a way that during the heavy rain, the park will work as a lake. The park, during the heavy rain, the park will collect all the water resources and work as a lake or water body. So we live nearby the water. During the dry, and then that water will naturally filter because the soil and the trees work as a natural filter. They filter the water and put the water underground. So in the dry time, the underground water will be there. We can pump it out, use for our purpose, and the trees and plants can also suck the water and there will be no drought. The same flood water, which is a curse, become an advantage. Just changing our city design a little bit. Make our parks a lake during the wet season, during the dry season, it become a park again. So many countries are doing this, Netherlands, Denmark, Beijing, Shanghai, you name it. Why don't we design Jakarta like that? Major parks, not only a park, would be a lake during the rainy season. During the dry season, it could be a park. So that we can minimize, and that's the evidence, 55% of the water could go in the park and there'll be no flood. So that's like the climate adaptive city planning, one of the approaches. So you can have the green space network, all the green space need to be connected. All the parks need to be connected so they can share the water. And then buildings need to be designed as a green roof. So in the heavy rain or climate change happening, the roof can absorb the water and put it in the right place. And the green roof also control the temperature. So during the summertime, it makes the house cooler. During the cooling, winter time, it makes it warm. And plus infrastructure, that is impermeable infrastructure. Most of our roads are heavy concrete, doesn't let the water under. We can use impermeable materials. Like that can let the water goes down and put the water inside and use the water recycling. Because just for imagine, this morning when you do the brushing of teeth, how do you brush our teeth in the Eastern dormitory or in the house? We on the tap and we the water is keep on going. That's a fresh water. How many times you wash the dishwasher? Fresh water. Washing machine, fresh water. Shower, fresh water. The same water that we drink. How much water we have? So if you can do the water recycling, the water that we use for dishwashing, the water we use for laundry washing, do we need the fresh water? Doesn't matter. The car that we wash, do we need the fresh water for car washing? We really don't need. We can use the same water that we use in our toilet. So this one, the climate change, to minimize the water crisis, we can make the water recycling. So a sponge city is another concept for climate resilience. Then the new idea came, so they ensure water security, flood resilience, the sponge city concept. This is about climate change. Oh no. water security. You can have enough water during the dry time. Economic advantages. If you have water, it will make the city cool. We don't have the air conditioning, and it will cause environmental benefit. So this is response cities could be. All right, guys, let's go back to Menti again. I have some quiz on response city. Okay, Fatia, let's try. I can see Fatia's name. That's why I'm calling you. Okay, let's next question. Response city.
The students go to Menti, please.
Okay, let's go to the Menti. What is the main aim of the response city concept? Why people think of response city when I'm almost going to give. Okay, let's give an answer. This is a word. You can type the word. This is a word cloud. Okay, let's see. Conservation of water, provide water for citizen. Which word is the highest? Let's see. Yeah, 29 people. 1 people only answer. If you don't answer, no attendance. Now think about that. No, you're answering. Great. Guys, take 10 more seconds. Answer it. Only 4 people answer it. 5. Okay, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yeah, water use or water management. Good answer would be flood management. Responsibility is coming concept, not water resource management, water reuse, rather flood management, one of the part of climate management, one of the part of the climate resilience plan. Okay, so let's go back to our lecture again. Let's go back to the lecture again. So in the modern days, this has become very popular, green urbanism. So climate adaptive response cities are now coming with the green urbanism, which is in another word known as nature-based solution. In a climate adaptive cities, how can we use nature as a solution? Can we do this nature as a solution too? Because our concrete is not helping much. Our modern design is not helping much. So can nature help us? So that's called known as green urbanism. And that is more about climate adaptivity, because we know that the climate change is inevitable and for everyone. Whatever nations you are, whatever country, can we design our cities and with the nature? So then they said green urbanism concept coming. And the green urbanism mostly for flood management, drought mitigation, and urban heat island effect. You know what is heat island effect? Heat island is something like that. This is an urban area. So right in the heart of the city center, all the buildings. Now, do not laugh about my drawing, guys, because I'm not an architect. I can't draw as beautiful as you guys are. I am just a silly urban planner, but then there's no tree in the city center. Trees are outskirts of the vegetation are where the village area. So cold air came and it goes hot air and like this. So this area becomes hotter than comparatively this side. This is called urban heat island. Because there's no trees. There's no trees cannot absorb the heat. Cities are mostly concrete. The concrete absorb the heat from the sunlight, and in night time it reflect the heat. So it's even the night time you have to keep on your air conditioner to have a better sleep, and that causes carbon emission and all these things. So green urbanism, they start thinking about the flood management, drought mitigation, and urban heat island effect. Like in the summertime is coming, at the night time it's very sweaty, can't sleep. So you need to put the air conditioning on or the fan on. And you need electricity that need more carbon power to burn to produce electricity. So this on the green infrastructure saying, can we make nature inside the city? And the nature will work to minimize the water management, just like the urban response cities, ecosystem service, natural vegetation, all these things could be provided by nature, and you can live coexistence with the nature. Nature would be a solution, and very good example is Singapore. Singapore was a tiny village, and that's moved to whole things into whole 40% of the Singapore, 60% of the Singapore land is an urban green space. Last year, they planted 25,000 trees, and all the roads are connected between the shaded. So Singapore is just same weather like Indonesia. But then with the nature, they minimize the humidity. It's making more comfortable weather. The more of nature, heavy rain, all the species are coming back, and it's become a biodiversity city. Singapore become one of the fastest green city. So Singapore already started doing this one. The green urbanism, they use the nature as a solution. They introduced I forgot the name of the park, the biggest park in Singapore as a sponge city park. So all the heavy rain, they let all the water to that park during the rainy season. So that is become a fishing ground. So people go and fishing during the summertime. That become a playground for the soccer. So that's how they manage it. And Singapore becomes green, using as a green urbanism. Another very good example is Copenhagen. Copenhagen, the capital of Denmark, has the only city in the world has a bicycle highway. I'm sure in my class, in this class, many of you know how to ride a motorbike, but you don't know how to ride a bicycle. Because you never tried it. Right? You all tried the scooter, but never tried a bicycle. Same thing, but you have to use your human power. Copenhagen has the only city that have a bicycle highway. And those highway goes inside the people's building. And that is faster than car. Because there's no traffic. And there's inside the buildings you can go very fast. And they introduced bicycling as an alternative approach of transportation. This bicycle as an alternative approach of transportation, and that reduced 42% of the carbon emission in the city. And emission reduction target is 100% by 20. This year they are going 100% zero emission city. And economic growth is 24%. Because when you're riding the bicycle, you are not spending your money on the generating electricity. That money is, and then local businesses promoting. So when you're riding bicycle, you stop somewhere, you buy the coffee, teh tarik, or water, something. So local businesses are providing fruits, and then they are going by 100% green energy. So that's like the Copenhagen is doing. And they're introducing their building as a green building. Sustainable architecture is visually faced, merging the eco-friendly with the modern design. So these have become more of modern city concept, green concept. And now we are talking more about a smart urbanism. We are talking more about a smart city. You know, while I live in South Korea, I'm a bit interesting. My origin is from Bangladesh. My dad is from Bangladesh. I live in Australia, but I work for American University. There's an University of Utah. They posted me in South Korea. Now I live in South Korea. So I'm everywhere. And the city that where I live is a smart city. One of the 7th smart city in the world, Songdo. So a smart city, now we start thinking when AI become or technology taking over. See guys, over the time, now I'm reminding you again, from the ancient history, hunter-gatherer, then cities, community, then irrigation to business, then industrialization, then we become urban park to climate adaptive city, then new urbanism, then coming green urbanism. And now we are talking about a smart urbanism because technology. So every era, the face change, human civilization improved, our cities change. That is the interesting part. Cities change with human civilization change. So the smart city come because now we are in the world of technology and AI. So they think, why AI not a tool for the city? Why not city take its own decision? Why not city can manage the waste? Why not city can make its transportation more smart that with your mobile phone, you can see when my next bus is coming. With your mobile phone, you know when the weather is coming, should I take an umbrella or not? With your mobile phone, you know what to pay, how to pay it, how to manage the waste. So the smart city is coming. So in general, smart city that use the technology to provide service and solve the city problem. So use the technologies and AI. And the many buildings, you'll be surprised with the building where I live, the building can talk. And not like a real talk. It can show me how much energy I'm consuming. and how can I shut my light? Sometimes we forget to off our toilet lights, right? We just get out. The building says automatically off that light if there is no one there for more than 10 minutes, because nobody uses the toilet for more than 10 minutes. So lights automatically off, building can sense it. So they use the technologies, and then how much water I'm using it. They help me with this way. Transportation like this way. So they start using a smart urbanism concept. So a smart city are like a way of efficient manage the city. Just like city will have a brain that can sensor. How they do it? The city has a big city center that see the whole city with CC cameras. Everywhere is the cameras. The city center people, they do 24 hours job. They can see every single corner of the city, and they can control the traffic. They can look at the crime events is going on, so they can immediately inform the police, and police go there before the crime take place. They can look at this, then if fire hazard happening, they can immediately let them know. So this is a very high-tech things the city is managing by the data center. And every time they're collecting the data and which area is more vulnerable, they improve that area. So it's just like our brain, every time monitoring our body, and where is the pain? It gives me a sensor, here is the pain, take care of that part. So that's why the city are working in a smart city designing. And then these are the major things, the social innovation. We need to find the social innovation, major principle of smart city, how the local people can use the technology. Not everybody is very smart of using the technology. So they need to find the technology that everybody can understand. That everybody, the youth are very smart. I'm sure the students are very smart. You can do with the phone anything. Maybe I cannot. Being an old man, I don't know every function of the phone, but you guys. So it needs to be a technology that everybody can understand. And that could also ensure economic development. That create more jobs, like AI-based jobs or more smart jobs for the cities, more ICT, information and communication technologies, like Internet of Things. Every transport sector, housing sector, education sector is all connected. And that also needs to be regulatory. Because if there is everywhere camera, there's no privacy. So it needs to be regulated that not everyone is seeing how they can. So these are the major function of a smart city. And also smart city needs something called a smart people. So train the people how to use it. A smart mobility, a smart governance, a smart many things are needed. So this is now the new way. So when you think about the architectural things of design, now you need to think how AI could be a part of the design factor or a city factor. All right, guys, I'm almost nearly end. I'm not going to. So for the last time, another long breath. All right, relax, go to Menti. Once you relax, okay, go to Menti. Okay, let's look for the next question. I want more response. Among the following, which does not directly benefit from a smart city? Which one is not direct benefit from a smart city? A smart city do flood resilience, economic advantages. Yes, everybody can know this one, but only one people answer economic advantages. I forgot what is that called in quick in Indonesian.
Cepat.
Cepat, yeah. Go guys, cepat, palit. Hurry. Okay, 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yeah, control urbanization. Economic advantage of advantage, which is not. Response city cannot control urbanization. Response city, because when there is a response city, there is no flood, more people will come. If you know that Jakarta is not getting flooded anymore, you will not live in this Java, you just jump to Jakarta. Yeah, better place. So, okay, so next question. So which one you think the most important part of a smart city? Remember, we know social innovation, economic development, regulation, ICT infrastructure, which one you think, give a point, which one you think the highest priority? As a student, you think this should be the highest priority for a smart city? Which one you think for the highest priority for a smart city?
Please join the Menti, students.
Yeah. Only 5 people answered out of 29. Innovation, economic development. Okay. So if you ask me, and definitely everybody will say ICT infrastructure because that's the cities. But if you ask me, I'll talk about the regulation and efficiency. Because in modern technology, it is easy to access to anywhere. So if you don't have the regulation, then in a smart city could be disaster. A smart city could be disaster. So regulation and efficiency, how efficiently you can move. Yeah, then ICT infrastructure, that's my opinion. But then most of you think ICT infrastructure, yeah, that's could be okay, but this is my answer. All right, so that's the end of the Menti. So you did great job. Let's go back to our lecture. Again, we're almost end of the lecture, guys, almost there. So then these are the few things like smart urbanism. How can you use the ICT? Energy saving. That technology can monitor how much energy you're consuming. So that's how we can use the energy saving. Which sector we can save the energy. For example, I can tell you something. Many of you, when in the university, in the rainy day or in the nighttime, you see lots of the light on the lobby. Nobody's there, but the lights are on. So can you use a sense of light? Like if somebody walked there, the lights will on. If nobody's there, lights will off. So energy saving. Think about how much energy we use. Reliable infrastructure, the infrastructure that 24/7 can smart service. They can high-speed reliable network service, the internet service, so that you can communicate. Many of the things you can do from your home, just like I'm taking the lecture far from your place. So many of the things we can learn this way. Efficient operation, like less man-managed, human-managed, and it could be automated management. And that could ensure quality of living, safety living. That's what human live. Beauty, one of the component of the city. Environment and health, one of the major component. So quality of living. If you need, you can call the doctor immediately. Even you can do some of your best treatments using AI. So those are the things. But then we talk so many things. When COVID came, everything changed, right? We talked about compact living. And COVID shows if you live compact to each other, you definitely get COVID. We talk about urban public space. If you go on there, if you mix up people, COVID space. So COVID gave us a new lesson. And that new lesson is start thinking us, like, can we make a city that is walkable? Because when you're using public transport, there's no option, but we become contact with each other. But if you're in a walkable cities, we can easily keep the distancing. So that's introduced a new concept of the 15-minute city. Well, there are arguments. Some of the people are planners and architects in the UK. They are saying 15-minute city is not a good solution. But there are people in Paris mayor, they declared that we are making a 15-minute cities, so we can make cities walkable. Every facility is nearby, so we can avoid this type of interaction because you never know, there could be another COVID. So every time there's a new challenge came, the city concept changed. Why? To accommodate the human within the situation, accommodate within the city with the changing circumstances. But for the time being, the major challenge is urbanization, more people and climate change. So we need to think our city that could be climate resilient with the green urbanism, a smart city concept, and compact so that people can live close by with the service facilities. So with this one, guys, I am ending my discussion here. Terima kasih. Thank you so very much for joining me and listening me. I truly appreciate. But now I'm all yours. You can have any questions you can ask me. I'm stop sharing. But you can get this PowerPoint from Andrika. Andrika can give you the PowerPoint. You can share it. And if you have any questions, you can email me. You can find Even if you think in your master's research, I can help you from overseas, I'll be happy to. You can use me as much as you can.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Hasan, for your presentation. It makes me rethink in which level is the city I live right now, Malang. I don't think it's in the smart city level already, not even in the new urbanism, because the connectivity in Malang is not that great. We don't have sufficient public transport, so it makes me rethink in which level is my city right now. Okay, is there any question from the students?
I'll try to invite you guys to visit sometime in Korea. It's not very far, and you can see how the smart city perform. I'll try with my university if I can organize something. You guys can visit with some of your students to have a smart city concept.
Yeah. Okay, thank you very much. For the students, is there any question for Dr. Ahsan? If you have any question, you can just simply raise your hand. Oh yeah, I think I saw someone who raised their hand. No? Oh, okay. I have a question for you, Dr.
Yeah,
Ahsan.
please.
You explained about new urbanism. In the future, which one do you think is better for architect? Do you think we should implement the mixed use development for the whole city, or is single building, single use is also still okay as long as we implement the green urbanism or the sponge city concept? Which one do you think is better?
If you ask me, then I should go for compact development. The reason is like compact development with the green urbanism concept. Compared with the green urbanism, like design the buildings with the green urbanism concept so that the building can minimize the energy, water resources, and also connectivity. Now ask me why. Because the land is scarce. Any city, even you are Indonesia or Australia, land is very limited. Human living land. Like Japan. Why Japan, Tokyo is so congested? Because people can only live near to the water. In the middle, nobody can live. So land is very limited. So we need to know the best use of the land. And the rest of the land we need to conserve for future growth or for the food supply, food crisis, or environmental ecosystem service. That's why I do not the individual houses or single unit with the environment, rather compact unit with the environmental management and with better connectivity. I am on that side.
Okay. And another question, is there any city in the world that implement the sponge city concept in big scale?
Yeah, Beijing.
Beijing?
Beijing, some part of Shanghai, and other cities. I don't know the exact Chinese name. Beijing is one. Beijing for sure. And then some of the European cities are doing this one, the sponge city. And so the cities are working. Adelaide as well, the dry part of the Australia. So they are trying that when there is rain, absorb the rainwater with the pond or the lake, and then use this water in the later part. Beijing is one of them.
Okay, but if I take an example like Jakarta is already dense with development, right? If we want to implement the sponge city concept in Jakarta, which
Okay.
step we should take first?
Okay, all right.
We have to find some land or something?
I got this question very often. Even I got it now working with some, in Bangladesh, Dhaka as the capital is also very congested. No, and can you tell a big park in Jakarta? Which one is the biggest park that people goes there for hangout? There's a big park in Jakarta. I don't know the name, right?
Yes.
But that park is a very plain land. And on the middle, there's only a small lake. But why don't we make this whole park as a carved land? So when there's a heavy flood, that park will get all the water and the side walkways could be used only for walking. In the dry time, then that water could be pumped out and used for the recycling purpose. And then the park will open again for walking and jogging. So most of the park in modern days we design just like this. So why Beijing is doing it? Beijing is also very highly populated city, right? Beijing is another way, but they adopt this one by just introducing all the roads and drainage network by impermeable. That's when there's rain or flood that allow the water goes down, and they channel out all the water to nearby big park areas to put the flood water there. So the water doesn't remain on the street. So they design the whole street with a permeable surface. So the waterfall goes under the road, and they make a channel. So all the water to the drain underground goes to that pond or that lake or the park. So Jakarta can also do this one. It doesn't cost much just to change our state and make some of the parks or playground as an alternative use whenever you need it. It is possible.
Okay, so
If Beijing can, then any city can. That's my idea.
sure. But first the regulation first. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, I have a question in the chat box.
Oh yeah.
If-
From
If you want to,
yeah.
from Emma, if you want to implement a smart city concept in Malang City, what point we should start? Okay, dense and has very complicated urban problems. All right. So, so smart city concept, a smart city is not like the first and foremost concept of smart city is a data driven. Data driven means what? Like the city always collect the data of the city problem, about the city challenges, about the alternative. So if you're in a smart city, you can have the IoT Internet of thinking that the city can collect all the problem of the your city, that's Malang city. What could be the problem? Because if the data like which area is the highest problematic area, and the problem is, for example, urban crime or urban pollution, what is the level of pollution? And so if the data, that's what we did in here in Songdo, there's always the climate data. There are cameras and there are sensors on the street, they collect the climate data. And notice this is the most climate polluted area. So then the city automatically, the AI can do the data analysis and indicate this of the area. Then the city implement new ideas that how that area could be minimize the risk pollution by introducing new blockades that car cannot go those areas. Those areas then we declare as a walkable city. So when the car is not going, it's less pollution. Or we design the area that car can go only this time of the day. Rest of the time after 4 o'clock is all walkable cities. Same way the city can also collect the data. Even the residents can send the data. Where is the major problem or the major flooding area? Use your mobile phone and then make a system that you can send your data that this area is flooded. So the city mayor or the city can analyze the data. This area gets flooded very often. Yeah, I can say that Malang cannot make the whole of city internet all on a sudden change. But you have a better internet, then you need a system network that you can get the data and analyze the data to find out the key point where improvements is needed. In most of the developing country, when you change a city, we try to make the whole city at a time. And that causes the problem. But if you know the prioritization, like this is the main problem, then you can do it. And then also the government can provide the information to the citizen through the same mobile network. That this is the problem area, we are designing new concept. So citizen can well aware that this is going to be changed. Or this, so this is the communication. That could start for any organic city. Songdo, where I live in, is possible here in the industrial scale, because Songdo was nothing here before 10 years ago. It's a complete open space. They reclaim the land from the sea and design the city from zero. It's possible. But a city with Malang where thousands of people live, it's an organically growth, you want to make it smart, so you have to start step by step using the data driven. Get all the data, analyze it, and then start designing it. That's not my understanding. Most of the organic cities doing this one.
Yeah. Okay, thank you for your answer. Is there any other question from the student?
If you have any questions through email, you can go on the first slide. I have my link tree. You can find my email there. And if you scan the barcode, you can find my email and You can send me an email. I'll try to answer it.
Okay. Fatia, do you have any question for Dr. Ahsan?
Yes, actually.
Yeah.
Please.
Sorry if it sounds like I'm rambling, but uh, one thing that I noticed is about regulation and efficiency. So I'm from Jakarta, and I mean it's the most modern city it's considered the most modern city in Indonesia, but by world standards, it's still awful to me at least. And not that I'm criticizing our government, but the political will to tackle these urban problems are not very good. And I just want to know that what's the most impactful thing that I can do as an architecture student, because I feel helpless every time I see the how my city is doing. Like it's not very good, and I just want to know what I can do as a student right now.
That's a very big question. Oh, that's a great question. But every time in Asian countries mostly the Asian countries, even American or European countries, when you think politics, you'll get frustrated. So keep politics always stay away from us. Because the politician has some issues and something, I'm also not going to argue on this one, they have their own agenda. So that's what sometimes. But as an architect, as a city planner, or as a youth, especially as a youth, what can I do? Just think from very simple, can you notice what is the problem in your area? Can you prioritize it? That's the only thing Fatia, this is my answer, what I feel. Okay, it's not like textbook answer. The first thing you need to know the prioritization. Prioritization means the problem prioritization. When you look all the problem at the same time, even when you do the architecture project, if you look all the problem at the same time, you can never finish the project, right? You need to know which is the first problem I need to solve it. Then it's called the Domino's effect. You know the Domino's pizza? Domino's means one by one. You touch one, they all will affect others. So if you can prioritize the problem, then that's the first thing I need to solve. Then that will affect the other problem, just like climate change. Climate change is, you can solve many things. The carbon emission, why the carbon emission started. So if you can stop the carbon emission, then rate of climate change, the natural disaster, flood, many problems will be solved automatically. So if you can prioritize the issue, you can solve it. So as a student in your area, you can think from architectural eyes, which problem is the first priority? Maybe congestion, maybe the housing structure. That's don't let the people walk. So if that we can design in a better way, that could be a solution. So that's not my idea. And I think like this way. And then if you want to make your area smart, then the first thing you need to collect the information or the data from the community, what they want. And if that data-driven analysis you can design, I think that is the starting point. But Fatih, of course, one person cannot solve everything. You don't take that pain in your shoulder. Are you happy with that answer, Fatih? Or no, it's not.
Yeah, I think I can digest it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Hasan, for the answer. And I think we are running out of time for the Q&A session. So I will end our lecture and Q&A session this time. Thank you very much, Dr. Hasan, for your presentation and your valuable knowledge for us. And thank you also for all students for your participation today. We hope we can see you again next
Yeah,
time.
thank you so much.
with
Yeah, that's
another
my dream.
lecture.
One day I'll be there in Malang sometime in real person to see that
hope-
place.
Yeah, we hope so.
All right. Thank you so very much, guys. Terima kasih.
Yeah, thank you very much. So I will end this session. Thank you very much, everyone. Good afternoon and good evening for Dr. Ahsan. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Goodbye.
Bye.